Hi guys, how are you all? Good evening to all of you. Hello. Okay, so hope all of you are doing good. Yeah. Okay guys, so my name is Mridul and I'm a master teacher in Vedantu and I'm a maths expert. Okay, so guys, let's talk about today's live session. So in today's session, we are going to talk about mathematics of class 10 CBSE, and the point of which is very, very important is about the midterm, right? So I'm sure all of you are preparing well for your midterms, and as we know that this is very, very important exam and you want to score as much as you can, right? So I'm sure all of you want to score 100 out of 100 in maths, and not only maths, all the subjects. So but maths is very, very feasible, right? So it's possible for you to score 100 out of 100 in maths. So let's see what the topics are there in your midterm. For example, the topics are basically there are 8 chapters, so out of which trigonometry can be considered as a single chapter, and we have overall, for example, say 7 chapters. For example, real numbers, polynomials, and pair of linear equations, quadratic equations, arithmetic progression, and triangles, and trigonometry, right? So what I'm going to do in today's session is I am going to cover all of them, right? So basically it's not possible for me to solve a lot of problem from each of them. So I'll be taking one or two, type of important problems, and I'm also going to discuss how to go for each of these chapter, what are the core concepts of each of this chapter, and how to approach the problems of these chapters. Okay, so stick with me guys. I am going to take examples from all of these chapters, right? So I'm not going to miss any one of them. So firstly I will start with real numbers. So let me see what is a real number. So guys, as you know, real number is a topic which you are studying from class 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So now in class 10, what is very, very important for you is to understand the relationship between this rational and irrational numbers, and also for a few of the examples for say HCF and finding LCM using different algos, right? And Euclid's division lemma, understanding what is Euclid's division lemma, etc., right? And also you have some proofs relating to irrational numbers. Now these proofs are very, very important. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to take a question which says something like this, like you have say root 2 plus root 5. Now you need to prove that this is an irrational number. So whenever we have these types of searches, we prove it with the help of contradiction. Now what is contradiction? Let us understand. Let us say that this root 2 plus root 5 is rational, right? And what is rational? Rational means something which can be expressed in ratios. So let us say that root 2 plus root 5 is rational and it can be expressed as ratios, and say a by b is the ratio, such that a and b are both integers and co-prime, right? So a and b are co-primes, basically co-primes. That means there is nothing common between a and b, no prime number, no common prime number between a and b. They are known as co-primes, right? Now what to do is, let me try to bring this a by b on this side. So let's say I have a by b minus root 2 is equal to root 5. So basically what I have done is I have taken this root 2 on the right hand side and I have written it, I have rearranged it, right? Now if I try to square both sides, what will happen? Okay, now guys, here you see you can bring any of them on the left hand side. Either you can take root 5 on this side or root 2 in this side. You can take any of them. Okay, so I have taken root 5. Now let's see what happens. So if I take square, now this is a minus b whole square, so I will have a by b whole square minus 2 into a by b into root 2 plus root 2 whole square, that is 2, is equal to 5. Now here what do we have? we have a square by b square minus 2 root 2 a by b. And here we get 5, and this 2, if it goes this side, it will be 5 minus 2, that is 3. Right? Now what to do? Now let me take this on the right hand side, so that we have a square by b square, and let me bring this 3 on this left hand side. So I'll have minus 3 is equal to 2 root 2 a by b. Right? Now let me try to write this in ratios. So I can write this as b square and a square minus 3b square. This is equal to 2 root 2 a by b. Right? Now let me cancel this b on both sides, and now I can bring this a on this side and this 2 also in this side, so that I have a square minus 3b square by 2ab, that is equal to root 2. Right? So what can we do here? So now we can say that this a square minus 3b square by 2ab, right? Now see, a is integer, b is integer, so square of integer will be integer, and this 3b square will also be an integer. So if I subtract an integer from one more integer, I am going to get some integer. Say this is integer 1. Similarly, on the denominator I have 2 into a into b. Now this is also will be one more integer. And you see, this is a ratio. That means integer 1 by integer 2 is nothing but a ratio. Whereas we know that root 2 is irrational number. So from here we can say that root 2 cannot be equal to ratio of two integers. That means whatever we have considered, so we have considered that this is a rational number, this is wrong. So so this contradicts our assumption. So that means we can prove, or here we can say by the contradiction, we can say that root 2 plus root 5 is irrational. Right? So similar types of examples, you can take, and you can solve lots of problems regarding these types of questions. Now let me go to the next chapter in polynomials. Now here you see, guys, polynomials is also something which you have studied in class 9, and the same thing is carried forward in class 10 with some advanced topics. For example, say zeros of polynomial. Now zeros of polynomials was there in class 9 also. Now here what you get, something which is new, is you understand the relationship of the coefficients with the zeros. Also you have topics like division algorithm, right? So if you have a big polynomial and you divide that big polynomial with a lower degree polynomial, how do you divide it, and what are the coefficients, and what is the remainder? So these things, these concepts should be clear. Right? Now let me take a few examples and show what type of questions can come. For example, say find the zeros of the polynomial of this and verify the relationship between zeros and its coefficient. Now, this is very important question, and you may get these types of questions in your exam. Now let me see what is the polynomial first of all. So 4 root 3 x square plus 5x minus 2 root 3. Let me say this is equal to 0. Now guys, see, I solve these types of problem by splitting the midterm. Now if you carefully see, what is a midterm? Midterm is 5x. Whereas what is this term and this term? Each of them are 4 root 3 and 2 root 3. Now this, both of them are irrational, whereas the middle term is rational number. So how do you split? So there is one technique which we can follow. That is, let us take this number a. So what is a? A is nothing but 4 root 3. And what is b? B is 2 root 3. Now if we can write this in such a way so that the cross multiplication of these numbers and the combination of those cross multiplication, if we can produce 5, then our job is done. For example, let me show it to you. Say for example 4 root 3. Now I can write 4 root 3 as 2 root 3 into 2, right? And here I can also write this as 2 root 3 into 1. Right? Now, if I write this 2 root 3 into 1 and I cross multiply this, I will always be left with a root 3 number. Now, what I can do is, so what else can I write this? That means what I'm trying to say is, if I cross multiply these two, what am I going to get? I'm going to get 2 root 3 here, and in this 2, I will get 4 root 3, right? So this is where we started. So this is not helping us. So let me try to rearrange this. Now, how do I rearrange this? Okay, so rearranging means I can write this as root 3 into 4, simple. And here I can write it as 2 into root 3. Now let's see what happens. Okay. So let's see what can we do here. So that means now if I cross multiply, I will get 4 into 2, that is 8, and root 3 into root 3, that is 3. Now can I produce 5 from 8 and 3? Yes, of course. So 8 minus 3 will give me 5. That means now I will split this number according to this. That means 5, I will split it as 8x minus 3x minus 2 root 3 is equal to 0. So now what can we do? So now let's take common from here. So I can take 4 common and x common, that is, so it will be root 3x plus 2, and here I can take minus root 3 common. So if I take minus root 3 common, I will get root 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now I can take this complete thing as common, so I will get root 3x plus 2 as common, and what will be left is 4x minus root 3 is equal to 0. Now my factorization is done. Now once I have factorized it, so now let me tell that the x can be written as minus 2 by root 3, or x can be written as root 3 by 4. Simple. So now these are my two roots. Now what is the sum of roots? That means, so now let me use a different color and let me see what do I get. Okay, so sum of, say this is x1 and this is x2. Okay, so these are the roots. So sum of roots, I will get x1 plus x2, that is minus 2 by root 3 and plus root 3 by 4. Okay, and what will I get with product of these roots? So say x1 into x2 will give me minus 2 by root 3 into root 3 by 4. So this will get cancelled and I will get minus half. Now let me see whether I get this with the formula, right? That means the relationship coefficients. So for example, we know that sum of the roots is given by coefficient of x, right, by is a quadratic equation. Then sum of the roots, for example, say x1 plus x2 should be equal to minus b by a. Now let us see what is minus b here. So if we compare these two equations, here minus b, right? So minus b, and b is 5. So it will be minus 5, and what is a here? A is 4 root 3, right? And if we simplify this, let us see whether we get this or not. So if I simplify this equation which we just got, so if I take the LCM as 4 root 3, here I will get minus 4 to the 8 and plus 4 root 3, and this is 3. So this will give me minus 5 by 4 root 3. And you see both of them are equal, right? Similarly, let me see what is the formula for the product of the roots. So product of the roots formula is, say x1 into x2 will give me c by a. So what is c here? C is minus 2 root 3, and what is a? A is 4 root 3. Now this cancel and we have minus half. And guys, we have minus half here also. That means we have verified the relationship of the coefficient with the zeros, right? So these are the types of problems that you might get. Okay, so now let's go for the next type of problem in this polynomials, that is by division algorithm. So suppose you have some two polynomials. This is a polynomial of degree 4 and this is a polynomial of degree 2, right? So what are they asking? Apply the division algorithm to find the quotient and the remainder, right? So just how do we divide this? Say it is x4 minus 3x square plus 4x plus 5, and to divide this, the divisor is 1 minus x. Now it's very important for us, to write this properly, right? If we write it in this way, it will be difficult for us. So it's better to write it in descending degree, right? So x square has the highest degree, and then minus x has a degree 1, and then plus 1, right? So in this way, if we write it, it becomes easier for us. Similarly, this also should be written. Now, how do we divide this? So first thing will be x square, because x square into x square will give me x to the power 4, and then minus x cube, okay, and plus x square. Now guys, you see you don't have x cube term in this dividend. So what we can do is we can write it in this way, plus 0x cube, right? And then minus 3x square plus 4x plus 5. And then now you can subtract 5. So basically what we are doing is this complete thing and this, we are just subtracting this thing, right? So once we subtract, you see we will get this. So now once we get this, again we will go for the second term, right? Second quotient term, what to do? We need x cube and we have x square here. So we'll multiply it with x. And then in this way, we will go on till we get a remainder whose degree is less than 2, right? So we will stop there. So this is the method. So it's very simple, right? So using this also, this division method also, sometimes we can find out the zeros of the polynomials, right? Let me go to the next one. For example, in this question, right? So here what is happening is a question is given where a polynomial is of degree 4. Now guys, you need to know this concept that if a polynomial has a degree 4, that means there is a possibility that there will be 4 zeros, or it's must that it will be 4 zeros. Now sometimes it happens that all the 4 zeros are not real, right? Some of the zeros might be imaginary or complex also. But here, since you are studying real numbers and you don't generally go for imaginary numbers up to class 10, right? So generally you deal with real numbers. So all these polynomials which will be, right? So what is left? You are left with 2 more zeros. How do you find that 2 more zeros? Now we know that if I have a 0, I can write down the factor of this. So this 0 will give me a factor x minus 5 by 3. Okay. And this 0 will give me a factor x plus square root of 5 by 3. Now, if I multiply these factors, what will happen? Now, this is something like a minus b into a plus b. So, I'll have a square minus square root of 5 by 3 whole square, which will give me x square minus 5 by 3, right? Now, guys, let me say this is a polynomial gx. Right now, if I divide f of x with g of x, I will get a quotient, right? Q of x. And for sure, definitely the remainder should be 0. Why the remainder should be 0? Why? Because these two are the factors, right? So if this is a factor and this is a factor, so the product of them is gx should also be a factor of f of x, right? So now from here we get q of x. Now see guys, g of x is of degree 2. So q of x you will get of degree 2. Now you can solve this quadratic equation. and find out there's different these two roots of or zeros of this polynomial. So in this way you can find out. Okay, so this I'm just saying the approach here. So I'm going to the next question. Why? Because we have limited time. So I'm just going through the concepts and the approach, which is very, very important to solve these questions, right? Hope you understand. So guys, now let me go to the next chapter, that is pair of linear equation in two variables. Now this is a simple topic and important and scoring topic. Now see here, pair of linear equation in two variables. In class 9 you have studied linear equation in two variables. Now what is linear equation in two variables? That is nothing but a straight line, right? And a straight line can be given as ax plus by plus c, where see this x and y will be variables. So these two are the variables and a1, b1 and c1 are the constants. Now if I have two lines, that means this one and this one. Now why do we have two lines, guys? Now you should know something, that if I have two variables, okay, two variables, right? Now if I want to find out the values of these variables, I need minimum I need two equations. Minimum two equations are needed to solve an equation or two equations of two variables, right? So that's why we are taking two equations. Okay, now let us try to understand, or let us try to visualize what this solution will give us. That means the topic that you have in this particular chapter is solution of pair of linear equation, and you do this by graphical method or by algebraical method, for example substitution, elimination, etc. Right, I'm not going to these things right now. Now let me just try to explain that what actually you are doing. What do you mean by solution? So I have already told you that linear equation means straight line. Now pair of linear equation means two straight line. Now what are the conditions that you can have with these two straight lines? Now either the straight lines will be like this, that means parallel to each other. Say these are the two lines and this is parallel. Or what will happen? Second case. So this is, say, case 1. What is case 2? Case 2 will be the lines will be intersecting, right? So they will intersect each other, they are not parallel. And what is case 3? Case 3 will be these two lines superimpose each other. That means you can see only one line even if there are two lines. They are superimposing each other. So these are the three cases that can happen. There can be no other cases out of these three cases. Now how do you look at these two equations and figure out what are the types of lines? Now that is possible. Now how to do that? Now you see, if you find out the ratios of this, for example, say if you find out what is a1 by a2, and if you find out the ratio of b1 by b2, and similarly c1 by c2. Now by comparing these ratios, you can say which will be the case. For example, say if the case is of, say, this one, case 3. So in case 3 what happens is a1 by a2 is equal to b1 by b2 is equal to c1 by c2. And so we say that there are infinite solution in this case. That means there are infinite intersecting points. Whereas in this case, if you see, a1 by a2 will not be equal to b1 by b2, and this will not be equal to c1 by c2. Right? This may be equal, but then this is never equal. So here we will have one intersecting point. Now what about these parallel lines? In parallel lines, what is going to happen is a1 by a2 is equal to b1 by b2. But this is not equal to c1 by c2. That means I can have two parallel lines where only the coefficient or the constant c1 differs. Rest of the things will be same. So whenever you see equations like 2x plus 3y plus 2 equal to 0, and say 2x plus 3y plus 4 equal to 0. So you can understand that these two are parallel lines. Sometimes it might be in factors also. For example, say 4x and 6x. So what happens is, if you multiply these equation with 2, you can say, or say this is 6. Okay. So now in this case, you see I can take 2 common out from here, and 2 by 4 and 3 by 6 is equal, right? So 2 by 4 is half, 3 by 6 is half. But 2 by 6 is 1 by 3, that is not equal to half. That means this is this case. So in this case, these two pairs will give you parallel lines, right? Infinite solutions. So if it will be infinite solutions, right? So if you have infinite solutions, what did I say? I have said that all the ratios will be equal, right? So for example, what is the ratio here? So I have a ratio 1 by k plus 1. That will be equal to k plus 1 by 9. And that will be equal to, even if I bring it on the left hand side, I will get minus 5 by minus 8k minus 1. That is the same thing, even if I don't bring it on the left hand side. So let me keep it as simple as it is. So let me say this is the condition now, right? Now, suppose I cross multiply this and I cross multiply this side. So first equation I can get from here, k plus 1 is equal to k plus 1 by 9. And here from these two I can get k plus 1 into 8k minus 1 is equal to 9 5s are 45, right? Now let me keep it in this way. Now let me try to solve this. So here I will get k plus 1 whole square, so, and that is equal to 9, right? So I can write this. Now that means what? K plus 1 is equal to plus minus, okay, so sorry, so this can, yeah, that can be written as plus minus 3 whole square. That means now this square root and this square will get cancelled, and what will be left with plus minus 3. So now I will have two solutions from here, that is k plus 1 is equal to plus 3 or k plus 1 is equal to minus 3. So I can have k is equal to 3 minus 1, that is 2, or k is equal to minus 4. Now I'll put both these values here. So for say if k is equal to 2, then what happens to the left hand side of this equation? It will be 2 plus 1, that is 3, and 8 to the 16 minus 1, right? And if k is equal to minus 4, what will happen? I will get minus 4 plus 1, that is minus 3. And here what will happen? Minus 4 into 8, right? So 8 4s are 32. That means minus 32 plus minus 1, that is minus 33. Now easily we can say that this will be plus 99, and this is not equal to 45. So that means this is not the solution. And here what will happen? I will have 3 into 16 minus 1, that is 15, and 15 3s are 45. That means for k equal to 2, this equation is valid. Whereas for k is equal to minus 4, this equation is invalid. That means which value should I take? I should take k is equal to 2. So here the answer will be 2. That means for k is equal to 2, this particular pair of linear equations will have infinite solutions. That means they will superimpose each other. Okay, so hope you understood this. Now let me go to the next chapter, and which is quadratic equation. Now this is also again a very important chapter, and you might have lots of questions from this, which is also scoreable. So guys, from this particular chapter, what you are going to have is basically solution of quadratic equation, and second thing is nature of the roots. Now guys, you have studied this quadratic equation in your previous grades also, and solution of quadratic equation by factorization methods is, you have studied it in last year. Also in polynomials also you will get some questions where you will get this factorization methods, right? So the new thing that you get here is completing the square method. right? And from completing the square method, we can derive a formula for a quadratic equation. That means, this is very important. So this is something new which you have learned in this grade. That is, suppose if you have a quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. And by completing the this square, what you get is you can directly write the roots x1 and x2 can be written as minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. Right? So these are the two roots. That means one root will be minus b plus b square minus 4ac by 2a, and the other one will be minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. So these are the two roots. Okay. Now, nature of the roots. Now you need to understand the nature of the roots also. Now you see guys, b and a are real numbers, right? Because see, these are real numbers. Okay. Now we have something under the square root, that means this part. See here, this part is inside square root. So for example, say we have this b square minus 4ac. Now if this part is equal to 0, then what happens, right? So if this is equal to 0, that means what are the two roots that I will get? I will get minus b by 2a. Here also I will get minus b by 2a. So I will get real roots and equal roots, right? Now, if this part is some perfect square, right? That means if I can write this as some value, say m square, right? So b square minus 4ac can be written as m square, for example. And m is a positive number, so I can write this as m, right? So now I will have the two roots, that is minus b minus m by 2a and minus b plus m by 2a. That means now I'll have real roots, but these two roots will be unequal. They are not equal. Now the third case is, what if this is a negative number? That means we know that square root of negative number gives us what? That is imaginary number. So we will have an imaginary part here. So right, so this complete thing will become complex, right? That means real a plus ib. That means if a is real and b is also real, but this I is noted as the imaginary number. That means square root of minus 1 can be written as I. Okay. So hope you understood the nature of the roots depends on this thing, that is b square minus 4ac. That means when can I say that this will be positive? So this will be positive, this particular thing will be positive when b square minus 4ac is greater than 0, or in other words, b square is greater than 4ac. So from here also we can get many relationships and understand in deep what should be the coefficients such that I get certain roots, right? So suppose I say I get real roots. So if I want real roots, this should be greater than this. If I want real and unequal roots, this b square should be greater than 4ac. If I want real and equal roots, then b square should be equal to 4ac. Only then I'm going to get this as 0. So this is very, very interesting. So if b square is equal to 4ac, then I'm going to get roots which are real and equal. So hope you understood, guys. Okay, so now let me take a few problems in this. So here I have a problem which says, so it says if one root of this quadratic equation, that means this is 2, find the value of k. Also find the other root. So now if 2 is one of the roots, so what will happen? If I put this value, this should be valid. That means 2 into 2 square plus k into 2 minus 6 should be equal to 0, and this is 8 plus 2k minus 6 equal to 0. So k 2k is equal to or plus 2 is equal to 0, or k is equal to minus 2 by 2, that is minus 1. So we got k as minus 1. Now let me put this value here and I get 2x square minus x minus 6 equal to 0. So what have I done? I have put this k value in this particular quadratic equation. Now let me see if I can factorize this. So I have guys already taught you like how to do splitting the middle terms. So I will do it again. So 6 can be written as 2 into 3, and this 2 can be written as 2 into 1 or 1 into 2. Now you see, what do you need here? You need minus 1. So basically what I can do is I can write it as 1 into 2. So that when I multiply this 2 and this 2, I get 4, and I multiply this and this, I get 3. Now I know that minus 4 plus 3 will give me minus 1. So I got it, right? So I can write this as 2x square minus 4x plus 3x minus 6 equal to 0. Now I will be able to factorize this. So now if I take 2x common, I'll get x minus 2, and plus 3 common, x minus 2 equal to 0. So now x minus 2 common, so I will get 2x plus 3 equal to 0, and from here I will get x is equal to 2 and x is equal to minus 3 by 2, right? So one root they have already given us, that is 2. So the other root is minus 3 by 2, right? Okay, fine. So now let me go to the next one. Now this is very interesting question, and let me take this question. So it says 2 water taps together can fill a tank in 9 3 by 8 hours. And what is 9 3 by 8 hours, guys? That is 8 times 72 plus 3, that is 75 by 8 hours. Let me simplify it. So that means this much hours it's taking for 2 water tap. So I have a water tap here, okay, and I have one more water tap, okay, which is filling a tank. Now it says that the larger takes 10 hours less than the smaller one to fill the tank. Now larger what? So they are saying that actually they are meaning that the larger water tap takes 10 hours less than the smaller one to fill the tank separately. So that means what? Let us say this is the small one and this is large one. So let us say the small one takes more time, right? Because it's small. So let us say this small one takes x times, right? Or say x hours to fill the tank. And it is said that the large one takes 10 hours less. So the large one will take x minus 10 hours to fill the tank. Simple. Now that means in x hours, the small tap is filling the complete tank. So in 1 hour, this will fill the complete tank by x parts, or in other words, 1 by x part of the complete tank, right? So this is for the first one. So this and what will happen in this one, x minus 1 hours to fill the complete tank. So in 1 hour, this large tap will fill it x minus 10 part of the tank, right? Now that means how much will it fill in 75 by 8 hours? So in 75 by 8 hours, it will fill 75 by 8 x part of the tank. Similarly, this in 75 by 8 hours, it will fill 75 by 8 into x minus 10 part of the tank, right? And now it is said that in 75 by 8 hours, when these two taps are running, the complete tank gets filled. That means this part of the tank and this part of the tank together will completely fill the tank. That means this plus this part should be equal to 1. So from here, I can, simplify and find out the equation. So the equation becomes 75 plus 75 by 8 into x minus 10 is equal to 1. So this becomes my final equation. Right? Now if I simplify, now if I simplify this, I will get a quadratic equation, and we all know how to solve a quadratic equation. And once we solve the quadratic equations, we will get the value of x. Once we get the value of x, then we can get the value of x minus 10. Right? So now we will get two values of x. Now we should see which is the right value. Basically, we will put and see, and generally we will take the positive value. Okay, so that's it, guys. Now let me go for the next one, next chapter, that is arithmetic progression. Right? Now this is very, very simple, guys. Now this is nothing but an infinite series of numbers with some pattern. Right? So infinite series means I can have an infinite series like 1, 2, 7, 9, 11, 15, 30, and see, in these numbers there is no pattern here, but I'm just putting numbers, and I can go on, and this is an infinite series without any pattern. But arithmetic progression is also a series, right? Infinite series, but then it has some pattern. And what is the pattern? So the pattern, now any pattern will not be known as arithmetic progression. Right? For example, we have geometric progression also. That means the pattern is different. That means we need to look at the number and we need to decode the pattern. And we need to see whether it is the pattern which is known as arithmetic progression or not. So we need to understand what is arithmetic progression. Now suppose I have a number, first number, say 1. Right? Now suppose this is the first number of my series, and now it increases. Now what is the pattern in which it will increase? Now the pattern depends on what is the number by which it increases for the first time. Right? For example, what is, suppose 2 times of 3, and then after that the number will be 1 plus 3 times of 3. So this is the first number, this is the second number, this is the third number, and this is the fourth number. So what will be the nth number? So nth number will be 1 plus n minus 1 into 3. Right? So that means now if I generalize any arithmetic progression, the nth number will be a, that is the first term, plus nth minus 1 into d. So if I do this, I will get the nth term. Now this seems very simple, but then we can have some complex problems for this. For example, let me take this problem. Now this is a simple one. Now it says that find out the 12th, 24th and nth term of the AP. Now it is said that this series is AP. That means what? 9 is the first term, that is A is 9. And what is the second term? 13. That means A plus D is equal to 13. Simple. And A is 9. So 9 plus D is equal to 13. So D can be written as 13 minus 9. Right? So that is 13 minus 9 is 4. Now what to do? Now they are asking to find the nth term. So nth term will be A plus n minus 1 D, that is 9 plus n minus 1 4. So this is simple. Now rest for 12th term. So that means when n is equal to 12. So when n is equal to 12, what will happen? So 12th term will be 9 plus 12 minus 1 into 4. So this will be 9 plus 11 into 4, that is 44. So 9 plus 44, right? So this will give me 53. Similarly, I can put n as 24 and I can find out the value of this, right? So in this way, this is very, very simple. So let me go to the next question. Now, these types of questions you may get in AP where the series is not given. So they will give you some hints, right, and some conditions from which you need to find out the series. Now you see guys, in this series again, if you see here, this complete series has say two variables, that is a and d. If you know a and d, you can find out the series. That means to find out a AP series, we need two conditions because we have two variables. So here you see two conditions is given, that is 5th and 9th terms of an AP is 72. This is the first condition. Second condition is sum of 7th and 12th term is 97. So you got two conditions. Now from these two conditions, you can solve the two variables, that is a and d, and then you can find out the AP series. Now let me show you how to solve this. So for example, say 5th and 9th term of AP is 72. So that means, what is 5th term guys? So 5th term is nothing but a plus 5 minus 1, that is 4d. And what is 9th term? So 9th term will be a plus 8d. Now the sum of this, so sum of this will be 2a plus 8 4 12d, and this is said to be equal to 72. Similarly, what is said here, a plus 7th term, right, that is 6d, and 12th term, that is a plus 11d. So if I add them, I get 2a plus 17d, and that is equal to 97. Now I have two equations. See here, I have two equations and I have two variables. If I subtract 2 from 1, what will I get? So I will get, this will get cancelled, and 17 minus 12 is 5d, and 97 minus 72, that means 7 minus 2, that is 5, and 9 minus 7, that is 2. So from here I will get d is equal to 5. So done. Once I get one of the variable, the other variable is very simple. I will just put it in this equation. So if I put it in this equation 1, so 2 into a plus 12 into 5 is equal to 72. Now what is 12 5s is 60, right? So 2a is equal to 72 minus 60, that is 12. So a will be 6. So now you got a and you got d. So you can find your AP term, right? AP series. So it will be 6, and then 6 plus 5, that is 11, and then 5 2s are 10. So 6 plus 10, that is 16, right? And so on. You can find this. Okay. So now let me go to the next question. Okay. So next topic is now triangles. Now guys, triangles is something which you have studied in class 9 also. And in class 9 you have studied congruency of triangle and inequalities of triangle. Now in class 10, what you got is similar triangles, right? Now similar triangles is a little bit more complex compared to congruency of the triangles, right? Now in similar triangles, it means, for example, I'll just show it, that suppose you have two triangles, right? Or let me take a triangle inside a triangle. So say I have a triangle, and then I have one more line in this way, right? So suppose this is a bigger triangle ABC, and let me change the color of this. So let me say this is a bigger one, and inside I have a blue, right? And say this is D and this is E, right? Now you see, let me say that DE is parallel to BC. That means if this two is parallel, that means this angle is equal to this angle, because these are corresponding angles. Similarly, this angle is equal to this angle. Now in these two triangles, right, this angle is common. These two angles are equal. So I can say that triangle ADE is similar, okay, similar to triangle ABC. Now if two triangles are similar, then what are the things that comes out is definitely all the angles should be equal. That means A should be equal to A is common, D should be equal to B, and angle E should be equal to C, which is already given here. But I'm just saying, if two triangles are similar, then these should happen. Also, what should happen is the sides should be in ratio. That means AB by AD should be equal to AE by, this is AB, right? So I should write it AC. So AC by AE, right? So similarly this side also. So that is BC by D. So now this P is the midpoint of BC. Okay, fine. And Q is the midpoint of AP. Q is this midpoint. And now when I join this BQ, it meets the AC at the point R. So they are saying find or prove that RA is 1/3 of CE. How do we prove this? This is very simple. So the first thing that we need to do is, let us take triangle BRC. So in this triangle, right, if you see, what can you find here? Yeah, what can you find here in this triangle? Yes, tell me. So see guys, what we will do is we'll try to join these 2 points first, right? That means now in this triangle, if you see here, okay, so this this construction is made in such a way that this is parallel to this, right? That means in this triangle, PS is parallel to BR, right? So now if this is parallel, that means this triangle and triangle CPS, right? CPS, and let me write it in sequence, CPS and CBR. Now these two triangles are similar. Now if these two triangles are similar, that means the sides are in ratio. That means I can say that CB by CP is equal to CR by CS, right? And now from here, we know that P is the midpoint of BC. So that therefore I can say S is the midpoint of RC. That means what can I write? I can say that RS is equal to SC. This is what I got from this triangle. Now the next thing is I need to do something with this part. So I will see that, okay, let me take this triangle. So if I take this triangle, that is triangle APC, okay, this triangle, and let me join this line because I need to work with this part. So I took this part now. Now you see guys, here Q is the midpoint, okay, of this side. So in that way we can find out, or so, because before that we can say that triangle APS and triangle AQR are similar. We can prove that easily. Now once you proved it, now you can say that if Q is the midpoint, R is also the midpoint of this side. Now if R is the midpoint of this side, so we can write that AR is equal to RS. And from here we know that RS is equal to SC. So that means what is AC? AC can be written as AR plus RS plus SC, and that is nothing but 3 times of AR or RA. Same thing, 3 times of RA. So now RA can be written as 1/3 of AC. So in this way you can prove this, right? So similar triangles is simple. It looks simple, but then there are a lot of ways in which they can make the questions complex. So you need to practice a lot, and you need to, go, reverse or backtrack from what they are asking. So you need to think, you need to see what is given in the proof, and then you need to backtrack. You need to do some construction sometimes, right? So you need to understand and do the construction. So these approaches, I will also go through these approaches later. Now let me also show one more example. Let's do one thing, guys. Take this question as your homework, okay, or assignment, and it said that ABC is a triangle and DE is parallel to the base, right? Let me draw this triangle. Suppose ABC is a triangle and DE is parallel to the base, right? ABC is a triangle and DA is, note it down guys, D is parallel to this base and D is on AB and E is on AC. Okay, fine. Now AD by DB is given as 2 by 3. So you need to find out the value of BC by DE, right? So this is very simple. So we can easily prove that these two triangles are similar, and from there you can solve it. So you can try to solve it, take a pic of this and you can send it to me on my mail ID. So you can note down my mail ID, that is mridul.ghosh@vedantu.com. Okay, so you can mail it to me. So note it down. Okay, anyways, I'll give you my mail ID at the end of the class. So hope you have noted this question. So let me go to the next thing. Now, a last one, or the last topic, that is introduction to trigonometry and the application of trigonometry. So I'll be taking few questions from this also. Now let me quickly go through this. So as you all know, trigonometry is deals with right angle triangle generally, and the right angle triangle has a longest side which is known as hypotenuse, which is opposite to the 90 degree. Now we also sometimes call this as the height and this as the base, right? Now let us see what type of questions you might get. Now for example, say they say that ABC is a right angle triangle. So let me draw a right angle triangle quickly, and they're saying that tan of A is 1 by 3. So what is tan of A? First of all, you need to know. So for example, say ABC is right angle triangle at C. That means this is A, this is B, and this is C. That means C is 90 degree, right? Now they are saying that tan of A. Now tan of A means what? Means height by base, or this perpendicular by base. That means BC by AC. Okay, so when I look from here, this is my perpendicular and this is my base, right? So now what is the value of BC, or what is it given? It is given that this is equal to 1 by root 3, right? Now let us say this is a ratio, right? Now let us say this side is x. So what will be AC? So if BC is x, so I can write this as x by AC. So that means AC will be root 3 times of x. Simple. So this will be root 3 times of x. Now what will be AB? So if we try to apply Pythagoras here, AB will be square root of x square plus root 3x whole square. That means how much? So this will give you 3x square and this will give you x square. So you will get 4x square and you will get from here 2x. That means this is 2x. Okay, fine. So now they are asking us the value of sine A, cos B, and cos A, sine B. Now this is interesting. So you can easily find out the value of sine A. What is sine A? Sine A is height by hypotenuse. So what is the height here? X. And what is the hypotenuse? 2x. So this means I get the value as 1 by 2. Similarly, what is cos of A? Cos of A is base by hypotenuse, that is base is root 3x and hypotenuse is 2x. So this is root 3 by 2. Similarly, now they are asking us to find out with respect to B. So that means what is sine B? So now when you take sine B, this becomes the base and this becomes our height. That means we can see it in this way. It is something now like this. See here. Now I'm trying to see it from this side. So B in this side. So now, as for example, so B becomes this, C becomes this, and A becomes this. Now when you say sine of A, now opposite to this is the height and this is the base and this is the hypotenuse. So here, what is AC? AC is root 3x by, and what is the hypotenuse is 2x. So this gives us root 3 by 2. Similarly, I can find out cos of B, which will be 1 by 2. Okay. So guys, in this way you can solve these types of problem. Now you just put the value and calculate whatever the results is. That's it. So let me see what more types of questions we have. Okay, this is also interesting. It says an equilateral triangle is inscribed. That means I have an equilateral triangle first of all, and then I have a radius of a circle. So now if I take a circle and inscribe this circle here, and the radius of this circle is, say, 6 centimeter. So say this is the center here. So if I join this is 6 centimeter. Okay guys, so let me join this also. Now what are they saying is find its sides. So how do you find the sides? So in an equilateral triangle, okay, so we know the property of equilateral triangle. In property of equilateral triangle is this is the centroid, and this is also the altitudes, right? So this altitudes will also meet at this point. So this will become the incenter, and this angle is 30 degree, right? Now this length is given as 6. So what else can you find out? What else can you find out? See ya. Yes. Okay, hold on a second. It is said that this is inscribed in a circle, right? So if it is inscribed, that means what? That means I have something like this. Okay, I'm in a hurry, so I got this. Okay, anyways, so that means fine. That means I have to remove this inside. So don't consider the circle which is inside, right? So let me remove it. So this is the circle. Okay, so anyways, now what is the radius? So this is the radius. Rest of the things are going to remain same. So now this is of length 6, right? And this length is also 6, right? Now we know this is in a ratio that is 6, that is 2:1, right? So since this is a median, right? So this will be in the ratio 2:1. So if this is 6, this will be 3, right? And now you can find out what will be this. Or in a simple way, guys, you see, if you know that we know that this is 30 degree and say this is hypotenuse is 6. So what will be this? So in this triangle, say this is A, B and C, and say this is D. So now, and say this point is O. Now in this triangle, if you see BOD, now BOD is a right angle triangle at D. Okay, so it is something like this, and this is 6 and this is 30 degree. So what is cos of 30? So cos of 30 will give me, say, this length BD is, say, this is X. So cos of 30 will give me X by 6. Now from here I can calculate the value of X. Now you see this is also the median. That means this part is equal to this part. So if I can calculate the value of this, I can get the side. This, that means twice of this. That means 2x will be this length. So in this way you can calculate these types of questions. Also, if they ask you the a circle which is inside, in that way also using this trigonometry you can find these things, right? Now next question. So prove the identity that this. So proving these types of questions, identities, is very, very important. So this is also a homework for you, right? So try to mail me the answer and let me see if you have, and you can also ask me doubts in regarding these questions. So I will also take one. I want to take some questions from height and distance. So let me take these questions from height and distance. So guys, this is very important. Height and distance. So for example, say application of trigonometry. So So for example, they will say two pillars of equal height and on either side of the road, which is width is 100 meter. Okay, so let me try to draw it. So suppose I have a road which is of 100 meter and there are heights, right? There are two poles, each of them has same height. So let me say this is pole 1 and let me take one more pole on this side which has the same height. Okay, hope this is same. Yeah. So now what are they saying is, now they're saying that the angle of elevation of the top of the pillar are 60 and 30 at a point on the road between the pillars. That means let us take a point in the road such that this will give an elevation of 60 degree and 30 degree. Okay, fine. So now say this is 60 and this is 30. So now they're asking what is this point x, say this length is x, and we know that total length is 100 meters. So this length will be 100 minus x, right? And say the height is h and this height is also h, right? So now what is the relation of this triangle, this smaller triangle? I can say that, say this is 10 of 60, and what is 10 of 60? 10 of 60 from here will be h by x, right? And what will be 10 of 60? That is nothing but root 3 will be h by x. So from here I can say h is equal to root 3x. Similarly, in this triangle, I can say 10 of 30 is h by 100 minus x, right? And what is 10 of 30? 10 of 30 is 1 by root 3, right? And what is h? H is root 3x. So root 3x by 100 minus x is equal to 1 by root 3. Now if I cross multiply, I will get 3x is equal to 100 minus x, or 4x is equal to 100, or x is equal to 25, right? So that means this is 25 and this is 75, right? Now if this is 25, so h will be root 3 into 25. So this will be something like 43.3, I hope. Yeah. So anyways, so you can calculate this value. This will be this meters, and this x will be 25 meters and 75 meters from this side. So this is a very important question. Similar questions we can have. Now this is also a very important question, and I want you to solve this question. That is, let me just explain this. They say that the angle of elevation of a jet plane from a point A on the ground is 60 degree. Say there is a jet plane which is flying at a constant height. Now suppose that this is a jet plane which is flying at a constant height with some speed we don't know, right? And what we know is this is the base. What we know is this is the base, and say, yeah, this is the base, and now this is the point, say A, from which the angle of elevation is, say, 60 degree. Okay, so say this is 60 degree. Now what is said is this jet plane here, it is somewhere here and it is flying, right? So now when it is flying, after 30 seconds, from the same point, the elevation is, say, 30 degree. Okay, so from the same point, the elevation is now 30 degree, right? And this height is given. So this height is going to be same, say this height, okay, and this height is going to be same, and this is given in the question. That is, this height is 3600 square root 3. meters, right? So now this plane is covering this distance. Okay, say this is P and this is Q. So this is covering this distance in 30 seconds. So now if you can find out this distance, right? So what is speed? So they're asking what is the speed. So speed is distance by time. So you know the time. If you can find out this distance, then you can solve this problem. So guys, try to solve this problem. So I have explained what is the question, and you can mail it to me. I have already given my mail ID. In case if you have missed it, I'll let you know. So guys, hope you have enjoyed. Now you guys see here, this is just a glimpse of what we are going to do, or what a course that I have designed for you, which will be extremely helpful for you to get very good marks in your midterm. Now the highlights of this course, let me just tell you, there will be 8 sessions, and each session will be 1 hour 30 minutes, and total hours, if you see, combined will be 12 hours. Now each session I'll be taking one chapter, and in 1.5 hours I will be solving numerous problems. Now what I will be doing in those 1.5 hours is I will be doing revision of the important concepts, and I'll be solving previous 5 years questions, and also we will focus on important questions which are on the application of the concepts, right? Also I will tell how to save your time, how to apply some shortcuts, right? So hope you will like this course, and this will help you to score very good marks on your midterm, right? So guys, let me show you the course link now. So this is the course link, and you can note it down please. That is https://vdnt.in/midmath. Okay, so I'll repeat it again, https://vdnt.in/midmath. Okay, so hope you have noted it. Now guys, the course price is 5500, and to give you a very good offer today, that is lightning price only for today, that is 2500. Okay, so that's all from my side guys. Hope you have liked this course, and hope to see you in my sessions, and best of luck for your preparation and for your midterm, right? Okay guys, bye bye, good night.